What's up, Strike Team, and welcome back to another episode of Strike Team Official. And today we are going to piggyback off of my last video talking about 5 myths I used to believe in the martial arts. And today is our bonus myth, what I think is the biggest myth I used to believe, and one that I think a lot of people on this channel are probably going to yell at me for. But hear me out and let me explain it, okay? And that myth is that all martial arts are created equal. Okay, and I say that very specifically. Okay, one of the most common phrases you hear in the martial arts is it's not the martial art, it's not the style, it's the person, right? They say it's not the style, it's the person. Well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm calling BS. Because a lot of the time, I do believe it is connected to the style. Now, when I say this, I'm coming from a purely combative perspective. I'm not talking about the spiritual or mental self-development aspects that you can get from a martial art, because that is very much dependent on your instructor. But I am talking about your ability to be effective in combat. Okay, because on average, certain martial arts have proven themselves to create a higher average quality of practitioner or student compared to other martial arts. And that could be for a variety of reasons. And it's important to know that we are looking at averages here. Okay, so for example, boxing is a great example. Boxing teaches you how to be combative with your fists. And I challenge you to find someone who believes that boxing is not effective in learning how to fight with your 2 fists. Okay, the average skill level of a practitioner of boxing who is learning it for combat and not for cardio has a high average skill compared to many martial arts. Okay, in comparison, a martial art that teaches you how to knock somebody out with pressure points, for example, has a very low average of skill for most of those practitioners. If you were to have a street fight right now or a competitive match between those 2 people, who's going to win? A boxer versus a guy who uses pressure point knockouts? That's pretty obvious, okay? So these are like the 2 major extremes of what I'm talking about. So when I judge martial arts, I usually put them in 4 separate categories. Okay, so number 1, I have core or base systems. Number 2, I have what I call auxiliary martial arts. Number 3, support systems. And level 4, which are pretty much trash. Okay, so let me break these down for you. So number 1, you have the core or the base systems. Okay, so these are martial arts that without any help from additional systems, you will, on average, no matter where you are training, okay, on average, come out relatively skilled in actual combat against a resisting opponent using your technique set. Okay, so a great example, like I talked about before, would be boxing. That is one that is almost, no argument from anybody. If you want to learn to fight with the 2 front hands, boxing is one of the best ways in which to do that. Okay, another great example is if you're looking to subdue people, wrestling would be also another great example of a core or base system. Okay, so number 2, you have the auxiliary martial arts. Okay, so these are martial arts with a lot of useful skills and principles that you often see used successfully in actual combative self-defense situations or even combat sports. But on average, due to either training methods, like the average training methods at schools, or due to the competition style, usually to be truly effective, they need to be mixed with a secondary system. Okay, now, like I said, these martial arts are often competitive, and they are often best used against other martial artists within their style, but with just a little couple tweaks here and there, they can be very, very successful. They can also be filled with a lot of good and practical self-defense moves and techniques that, if were trained maybe a bit more rigorously or had slightly different training methods, would be very useful. And because that these systems have a lot of useful techniques inside of it, they are also filled with a lot of exceptions to this rule. So why I think the average practitioner might be too low for me to put it on the same level of like the average boxer, I would say that there are a lot of exceptions to this rule, and a lot of people who may train in what I would consider an auxiliary martial art that are actually very skilled and talented fighters in their own right. So like I said, there are a lot of exceptions to this rule. This would be something like, say, point karate or even sports jiu-jitsu. And by sports jiu-jitsu, I don't mean like original Gracie jiu-jitsu. I mean like pure sports jiu-jitsu. and that would be what I consider the auxiliary style. So the third kind of system we're going to look at are support systems. Okay, so these are systems with a very low average skill level, even though the techniques themselves may be applicable, or they're going to be a system where the techniques are so niche that they usually need to be mixed with a core system to get a full range of effectiveness against a resisting opponent. Okay, so these specialties could make them really, really good at one thing, but not well-rounded enough to be complete, like I said, in full-on combat. So a good example of this would be Capoeira. Capoeira is extremely fun, very athletic. A lot of those guys are amazing athletes, and you're going to have phenomenal kicks. But if you really want to be good at Capoeira in a full street fight situation, imagine who does Capoeira, but also does boxing. Our guy does Capoeira and also does Muay Thai. You know, you mix those two together as a support system, and then you have somebody who's truly dangerous. So that would be that third level, would be those supporting martial arts. All right, so the last one is the level 4, or as I like to call it, pretty much totally trash systems, okay? These are martial arts that I would say are 90 to 95% ineffective purely based on their techniques. Okay, pretty much most of the practitioners in a style like this cannot fight. Okay, you're going to have maybe 1 or 2 exceptions that you might be able to chalk up to pure athleticism, but for the most part, there's not really exceptions to these rules. Okay, a lot of these martial arts have the most exaggerated claims of their effectiveness to make up for how bad they usually are. Okay, so pretty much any martial art with ninja attached to it, anything that has a chi blast connected to it, are most martial arts that are overly flowy. These are the martial arts I would put in mostly trash. Okay, there may be a few exceptions. Maybe you could take a trash martial art, and if you have a really good understanding of one of the core systems, maybe you can make some of it work. But for the most part, they're garbage. Okay, so these would be, yeah, garbage. Again, ninja, chi blast, shooting at the Kamehameha wave, trash. Yeah, so I have my core, our base martial arts, my support martial arts, my auxiliary auxiliary support, and then my trash martial arts systems. Okay, I do not consider all martial arts to actually be equal, but I would say that most martial arts have value. I do want to make that very, very clear. Even some of the systems in the trash system have value, especially when you're looking at the non-combat forms of martial arts. But again, I can probably break this down in a bit more detail, maybe actually show you where I would put different martial arts, maybe in another video where I break down where different martial arts will go in this tier list. That might be a good video for another time. Let me know down in the comments if you'd be interested in seeing that. Again, this is just how I view the martial arts. You don't have to agree. I know many people probably won't. Feel free to let me know your thoughts and opinions on it down in the comments as well. And again, if you would like me to expand, maybe actually show where I would put different systems, let me know in the comments. I might make that a video as well. Again, please like, subscribe, hit that notification button if you are interested in this content. Please don't unsubscribe because you're mad at my take, which is very possible on this one in particular, because I know this is a sore subject for many. But again, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will talk to you all next time. Peace.